when you have people who have certain beliefs like God and Jesus, the things that we're saying are invalidated because of how people feel. They're taking everything literally. They're taking it to heart when it's really just basic knowledge. We don't even believe in basic knowledge anymore because of how I feel. It's messing our children up. Our children are lost. They out here feeling all kind of stuff, and they're not even supposed to be feeling a lot of this stuff. The sexualization of children. They're telling them that you can be whatever you want to be. You don't have to tell your parents, and that's kind of confusing because when they go home, they still have to deal with their parents. What is going on, everyone's? We are here and we are back with another episode of
Is My Point Valid?
Yes, indeed. And I am Brandon D.
And I am Camille A. Stocker.
And before we get into this episode, thank you to everybody who locks in with us every week. We come with a new episode every week, so we appreciate everybody who comes and listens in and comments. If you get any value from our content, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, all that good stuff, because it helps us grow. And that's what we're trying to do, get our message out. With that, we're going to go ahead and get into this episode, and the topic's going to be
feelings are ruining America.
Yes, indeed. It seems as though we're walking around and the only thing we validate is feelings. Only thing we care about is how we feel, and it seems like America is falling into the whole I feel this way, so I should be this way type of deal. And I feel like it's ruining a lot of things because we're not even operating on logic anymore. We're just operating solely on how people feel. And I seen a video not too long ago. It might have been an old video, but it was a guy in Africa, and he was saying how when other countries come to Africa, they come like Russia and I think China, they come there and they're looking for military training. And when the United States comes over there, they're looking to push their social agendas. The whole I'm a man, I'm a woman type stuff. And he was saying like, y'all just keep all of that. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. And y'all keep all that over in the West. Basically, they're trying to keep us up out of there because they do not want to adopt our ideas about how everything is operating on feelings.
I think we all operate off of feelings. And if you just, every time we talk in an episode, I always take it back to society and what society is doing and how you feel. I remember being in elementary school, and you remember from elementary to high school, even in going into college, how do you feel, right? Mm-hmm. What do you feel about this? It was never really a basis of what is the fact on this. Yeah. And so you're saying, you are seeing a lot of things like.
So they kind of groomed us for the whole feeling.
I think a lot of it was grooming for us. I'm not going to want to talk about this, but I just want to talk about feelings because of what's happening like in Israel and Palestine, right?
Yeah.
And so you see, if you've seen any of Ben Shapiro's talking points, it's a lot of feeling.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not taking...
He's triggering a lot of people's feelings.
He's triggering a lot of people's feelings, but the way that he is delivering it too, although some of it might be factual, I don't know, but my point to that is his feelings are like involved in it. He's invested in it, yeah. And I was like, hold on, are your feelings not attached to that? Like, are there facts? And that's just my point with that. When we talk about feelings, I don't know anything about the whole war and everything, but it was just feelings. And I was watching it and I was like, there's a lot of feeling in this, right? And so you go back to when I was in school, you feel this way. It's okay to express how you feel because your feelings are valid. And are they?
I think they are to a certain extent, but I also think that people take their feelings a little too far.
Yes.
And like I say, we're not operating on things that actually make sense. We're not operating off of things like science or what's been proven. It's all in how I'm feeling. And last week we even talked about the feeling in marriage. Like, I'm getting a lot of people who are saying, well, my feelings, I should, if I don't want to be with you or how you make me feel, I should be happy and all of this stuff here. But I think like feelings are something that come and go. You're going to have different feelings throughout the day. So we shouldn't be making decisions. And this goes to the government because they're also making decisions based on their feelings. And it's affecting a lot more than just them. It's affecting everyone because when you have people who believe and who have certain beliefs like God and Jesus, the things that we're saying are invalidated because of how people feel. They're taking everything literally. They're taking it to heart when it's really just basic knowledge. And we don't even believe in basic knowledge anymore because of how I feel. It's messing our children up. Our children are lost. They out here feeling all kind of stuff, and they're not even supposed to be feeling a lot of this stuff. Like the sexualization of children. They're telling them in schools that you can be whatever you want to be. You don't have to tell your parents, and that's kind of confusing because when they go home, they still have to deal with their parents.
I don't know how to explain it. I just know because I used to believe, not even that long ago, that your feelings are valid. But are they? Because your feelings are subjective to you. Mm-hmm. You know, it's easy to say you made me feel this way or whatever. And I think back to, I think I was like 18, right? And I was going through some things outwardly, not inwardly. I was like cool, but on the outside, things were not going the way that I wanted them to go. And so the person who I did not need to. The person who I pushed back to was my mama. And I was like, you aren't, and I feel, and woo-wee, she tore into me. I don't remember what she said, but to an extent it was, I can't make you feel any type of way. You feel that way because of whatever it is that you are doing, right? And so with that has always kind of stuck with me a lot. I think back to that, but now that I'm older and I have children, and sometimes my children will be like, but you, hold on, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You're going,
I have no control of your feelings.
Of your feelings. And I want that under control. So they're not saying my mama wasn't teaching me this at 10 and 8, but at 18, I was feeling like, hey, look,
it's your fault.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm in this situation because of you, but in all honesty, it was me. But with my children, I am very particular about what I say and whatever, or how I am teaching them. Yeah. Like how
you come across to them.
Like the other day, they asked me how they did in their lessons, and I was like, what did you do today? Did you fulfill everything that you needed to fulfill? Because what we're not going to do is you're not going to rely on me to validate how you feel and what you were supposed to do. Did you do everything that was on your assignment sheet? Yes. Well, how do you feel? Well, I feel good about what I did. Well, all right then. Yeah. What I'm saying, because
it's a bigger picture there.
It's a way bigger picture, because when you get into life, are you go get a job, are you going to continually ask your boss, how did I do? Man, my boss man made me feel just, wonderful because he came and told me every time I did something good, he was telling me. So that means you're seeking for somebody to always tell you or to make you feel this way. And
you need to reward yourself. Don't look for reward from somebody else.
It's like, that is not realistic, and that is what the world is giving. That is what social media is giving, and it's not real. Our feelings are not always going to be validated. Everybody's not going to agree. And that's the thing where if you don't agree, that's where you have a conversation like, oh man, I think there's always a conversation to be had, but we be in our feelings a lot, and
it's a bit redundant.
It is a bit redundant because everybody's, I feel, like you were saying about marriage. If you don't feel that what I am saying is validating for you, you don't have to agree. You don't have to engage, and you don't have to agree. This is how I am that's how I feel. Yeah. That is how I feel. But even though and the reason why I feel that way, and this is why I think people miss it, I'm reading things that are fact and that go with what's coming out of my mouth. Yeah. I'm not just saying, well, I feel everybody should be married because it's the right thing to do. Then that has
there are statistics behind it that
doesn't stand strong for me to have a very good argument. I can tell you, you get married because God, like that is the argument, and I can stand on that, and I can show you scripture, and I can show you other people who agree, like you said, in statistics, the stats of it, right?
And one thing I realized is even when you give people statistics, they still will call you a liar based on how they feel.
Because this isn't what I want.
I don't agree with it, so it's not real. But really, the things that you feel aren't real because I'm giving you stats. I'm giving you what's been proven. So there's no reason for you to not, at the very least, have a conversation with the person who is giving you these stats so you can have a better understanding as to why your feelings aren't validated in that situation.
And also with conversations that we have, people will try and gaslight and try and feel like we don't know what we are saying. I'm not even gonna say what we're talking about or what we're saying or what is coming out of our mouths, right? One person was like, it's normal for you not to always be happy, but it's not normal for you to always be unhappy. And wherever she got that information from. Okay. So, and what my point to that is, people lack logic
and understanding.
People lack understanding. People lack
comprehension skills.
That's the word I was looking for. Comprehension. If we're looking at the video where the man is saying that 7th graders are on 4th grade reading levels, so that makes me wonder, if you my age, what reading level you on? Like, because they're saying, all of these things, and there is no logic. There is no comprehension. It's just go and be. I feel like this. I felt like laying in bed today, so I just didn't do anything. I didn't get up and wash my behind and do nothing. Like I just felt like being nasty.
I feel this way.
I feel this way.
Yeah.
And studies have shown if you are feeling down or feeling low, you should get up and do something active.
Occupy your time.
So
staying down doesn't make you feel any better.
What?
The logic.
Like staying like, I'm going to continue to be negative, and then negative things are just going to continue to happen. Well, why isn't anything positive happening? Well, the
you ain't doing nothing positive.
Is you're not changing. Yeah. So people, you got to think things through. And that's another thing I tell my children. You have to think. Use your brain, because I can't think for you. I'm not going to always be beside you. And it seems like a lot of people still need their parents to think for them.
Absolutely.
Or somebody
they
with
need
them
somebody, because even the parents is in last place right now.
Because it's ridiculous. And we operate off of feelings, and I'm not exempting myself from it because I'm a human. Feelings are there. Sometimes, a lot of times I do get in my feelings. And
I think we need to stop putting the wrong thoughts and feelings into our children, because they take that and run with it. And that is a problem with the generation today. The children are saying things to their parents, and because their parents feel like they want to be their child's friend, they just go with it. And
what you mean, say things?
The whole gender dysphoria and stuff like that.
Oh.
I believe that there's something that the parents come up with. So they say something, because children have no idea what any of these things are. So when you have parents who are putting thoughts in their child's head, then they come up with, they'll just take it and run with it. They'll come up with all different kind of things as to what they believe. And then when they come to their parents about it, and then it doesn't help that they're also affirming that at schools. So
I did want to talk about that, because you talked about affirming, right? And so I think with the affirming, of what I see it, because I think of a lot of affirming, it is the I am, right? The I am. And that is one thing that I totally disagree with. I do not believe in it. I am enough. You are not enough. You are not amazing. You are not those things. And yeah, they gonna get me.
Yeah, they gonna get you.
They're gonna get me. And what I mean by that is, when I am is used in the Bible, he's not talking about us.
Yeah. He's talking about him.
He's talking about him. I am. And so
to suggest that I am is you, that means you're putting yourself on the same level as God. And that's blasphemy.
And I can't remember who I saw talking about this, and I was like, what? And because
it wasn't Vody.
It was not Vody. It was some women who I was watching.
Shout out Vody Backham.
But and I remember this was like 2 years ago when I saw this, and we had a session. Well, after we read our Bible, after we had our Bible lesson, we had these stars, and we had words on them, and so they were like, I am amazing, or I am and so we would say I am, and then we say it. But my point to this is, when we were saying that, I didn't feel any different.
Yeah.
There was nothing.
It's almost like you're just psyching yourself out.
It was nothing like during
substantial behind it.
Like during that moment, I am amazing. Yeah, I'm amazing. But then the rest of my day was like terrible, right? I didn't feel amazing the rest of the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just felt like, oh.
Okay.
So then when I watched that video, then I saw God is amazing. And because God is amazing, that makes me amazing.
You give the blessings up and they rain down.
So that's how we started doing it. God is enough. And because God is enough, we're made in his image. Feel me because I'm never enough. I can't feel myself, right? And so that's how we went to it. So I do not like the I ams, and I know for sure that a lot of public schools, and maybe private schools too, a lot of public schools do have this.
Those self-affirmations.
The self-affirmation. And think about that self.
It needs to be God affirmations.
But you can't do God in school like that. So we changed that. We changed that, but God is enough.
God is God is everything. And because I give that praise to God, he will rain those things down on me because we are beneath him. And
so you know how I said I wasn't feeling anything when I was saying I am. Now, if I'm saying God is, or I am reading my Bible more, and to feel to fill Camille up, and when I say feel, FILL, feel me up, and fill my girls up, because somebody FEEL to fill me up and have a good day, then I can continually give God glory all day. God, thank you for this. Thank you for this. But when you're continually saying, and I feel like that falls into feelings, because you're saying,
would that be idolatry to yourself?
Maybe. I.
That's kind of
self-affirmation,
self-love,
self-awareness,
all these selves.
There's no self. Like,
yourself is trash. Ain't know thyself, because you don't know yourself, because you can be placed in any situation at any given time and you won't know how you react until you get there.
So I think that plays into a part of feelings ruining America, because everybody is doing it. I'm telling you, walk into a public school, schools are going to have those affirmations with I am, or teachers are going to have students come in with these things. And so then if you're doing it at school and then you're also doing it at home, then I think it really, now this is really a big opinion, I think that makes people miserable, because you're steady telling yourself up. You're steady telling yourself, I am enough, but you keep failing. Yeah. You're like, well, if I'm enough, why do I keep failing?
That'll make you depressed.
Right. I think that leads to anxiety and depression. Those things are real. Yeah. And when you lose,
false self-affirmations.
Like when you lose or you don't have the power of God, you're lost.
And that's where those feelings come in, because the Bible tells us, do not fall to the ways of the world. He says, be led by me. So if we're self this, my feelings, all these perversions, all of these things are of the world. So any person who is for the world is an enemy of God. So how can you expect to have these blessings that you're asking for if you're not even serving the man who you're praying to?
Yeah, that had to be a reality check for myself, because one thing, I always want to speak for myself. I don't want to speak for anybody else, but I do see things, right? And I've interacted with things that have been very selfish. That's selfishness, absolutely. Right? So I interact with those things, but the more that you read the Bible to understand, like right now we are in 1 Samuel. We're almost done.
Saul or
but
something
Saul
else.
is something else. And so when Saul disobeyed God, the Spirit, the Holy Spirit was gone. God left him. And so then Saul began to have anxiety and was depressed. And so that's when David comes in and he plays his harp. Now, why was Saul anxious? Why was Saul depressed?
Because he lost
he lost his enough. He lost his feeling. And so when you lose something, how do I gain this back?
Yeah.
So Saul was like, I got to kill David. And jealousy. He was filled with anxiety, depression, and jealousy and sadness. Like all these things.
That's the same thing that people, because even the jealousy part, you look at other people and the things that they're getting or the blessings that they're receiving, and you be like, why not me?
Why not me? I feel like I deserve this.
Yeah.
What are they doing that I'm doing differently?
Yeah.
Maybe they might be a little bit more believing than you.
Maybe you never know what people are doing behind closed doors. Yeah.
Like you don't know.
They may be giving God the glory and you talking about I.
And
me.
You know, that was interesting with Saul. I'm like, he's experiencing all these things and he wants to kill David. But David's like, hey, and David has had 2 opportunities to kill Saul.
And let him make it.
I can't. And so David is saying, I can't do anything to you because God anointed you. Yeah. He chose you. Yeah. And I ain't about to use my blessing.
Straight up fooling with you.
And that's how we should be operating. And we don't operate like that because it is.
We always trying to get one up on the next man. If David would have felt like he wanted to get the one up, he had opportunities.
Easily. He's like the Lord.
He caught that man while he was asleep.
While he was asleep. And he caught him while he was having a bowel. The first time he caught him, he was having a bowel. He was relieving himself. And David had cut off the edge of his robe. And Saul was like, you spared me. And then the second time, God had put Saul in a deep sleep and he spared him again. And so I was thinking, when is Saul going to get the picture, right? Yeah. Like, even though God told him, you're not going to be king anymore. You're not king in my eyes anymore. He was still king. He still was God's child. Yeah. And we missed that part because we're so busy with the I or looking at other people and expressing these feelings. I feel like I deserve. That's a big one. I deserve. I feel like I should be here, but this is where we're not content with where we are. We want to rush things. Like, there's a lot that plays into it. We want our opinions to be seen by everyone. That's why everybody has, a phone and everybody's opinion wants to be out there and all these things, but nobody wants to really come out and have facts. Nobody wants to read books from the 1960s to really get the facts.
We read all the information that's already been swindled, bamboozled into a certain belief. So the things that we're reading aren't real. They're all stuff that's been coerced by the higher ups to have most people believing a certain thing. But once you start reading, like you say, the books from way back before they got a hold of them, then you start getting real information.
That's really where I get a lot of information because, I like history a lot. I really like history. And so
borderline historian.
I think so. So one of the things that I always felt was how everybody else felt about Christopher Columbus, right? And then I watched a couple of people and I said, and we call them colonizers and all that. Cool. If that's what you want to call them, go ahead. But if he hadn't shown up and if he hadn't done what he did, would I be here today?
Probably not.
Would I have the freedoms that I have today? And you have to look at that. You start to think logically, I feel that he came over here and he took the land, he took it, and
there's a reason for everything,
right? If the world did not transpire the way it did, would we be here today?
Probably not. If the whole slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade, all of that there, if it wouldn't have happened, where would we be? Some things had to happen in order for everything that's happening now.
And it took me to take my feelings out of it and to read different books, different opinions.
Now, don't get us wrong. We ain't saying it's right.
If we have to continue to say that, then
you got to say it. Because they'll be, man, they'll see this and be like, well, are you saying that? No, fool. I say what I mean and I mean what I say. If I don't mean it, I'm not going to say it. So just know.
I'm saying, if it ain't happened, would we be here?
Yeah.
And what I'm saying, would we be here? Would we be in Angola? Would we be in Africa? Would we be in the West Indies?
Would there be
how much freedom would we have? Would we have been slaves there? Like that is the bigger picture. And that's how my brain goes. Because I'm like, man, what if we didn't do this? What if, and then my mind goes, what if we were never free from the United States, right? Like, what if the Civil War didn't happen and the South still owned slaves and the North? Like, what if those things play in my mind? Like, things had to happen. And we have to look at perspective. We have to look at facts. And then you got to take your feelings out of it and be like, man, that is real.
Straight up. You look past them feelings, because them joints are, hey, y'all twisted. They have you thinking things that ain't real. They have you looking over logic when a lot of things make sense.
A lot of things do make sense. And at the beginning, I said about Ben Shapiro. And why I said about him is because he's giving what he knows. Mm-hmm. But this is when you have to not base it off of feelings, but look for yourself.
Yeah.
That's what that was my point for that. You have to look for yourself.
Yes, indeed.
And figure out what it is that you want to believe, which is
based
hard.
on facts.
Based on facts.
Based on statistics.
Based on statistics. Not just what
not
is
just how you feel.
Of the horse's mouth.
Not what not who makes you feel whatever.
Right. There you go. That's the point. Not who makes you feel good about a situation.
Yeah. Because 9 times out of 10, they know what gets you going. So look past all of that. Go find some real information. Stop listening to people who are telling you things who more than likely have ulterior motive. Ulterior?
Who has ulterior murder?
I'm just saying.
Murder.
The people you murder. Yeah. That's that Memphis talk.
I ain't from Memphis now. Hold on. Motive. I am from Texas. They heard it.
Yeah, the twang. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. Take your feelings out of things and start thinking logically, because then you'll have an objective point of view. Stop thinking everybody is for you.
Stop thinking everybody is against you.
That too.
Base your what you see off of
what's real, what's been proven.
And for me, I watch a lot of people now, and I don't agree with everybody, but it's like
a lot of it makes sense.
A lot of it makes sense.
Spark it once you start listening. It'll spark your.
If you pick a person from the left and a person from the right, or a person
it's some truth in the middle.
And no, but I'm saying if you listen to all three.
Yeah.
And it's like, it starts. But if you just listening to one, it's like, it's one-sided. But if you get all three and you link it together and then you start piecing and then maybe you start reading into it,
you get it.
Oh, I got it.
You get some logical information.
Right.
You get some,
That's my opinion, but
just a suggestion for you.
Listen to everybody.
Yeah.
No, when I mean listen, just study everybody.
Yeah, that's what goodness. I mean. But put your head back on right.
Think.
Use your brain. That's what you got it for.
Think.
Straight up. But once again, thank you to everybody who tunes in with us. We'll be back next week with a hot new topic for you. And like always, it's love, peace, and soul.
Bye.
Like Soul Train, baby. Choo.